What's going on, fam? Welcome back to another fantastic boot review for you guys today. I've got a very special laceless football boot. They were the first company to come out in 2006 with the first laceless boot, and they're back with the Lotto Solista 104 Gravity. All right, fam, so hopping right into the unboxing. This is a boot that I've heard sort of mixed reviews about. Some people say they're really good. Some people say they're a great competitor to the adidas laceless branding, especially in the Predator line. Some people say they're very close to a Magista Obra and what that used to feel like. I am very curious. This is the Lotto box, and I would have to say their boxes are pretty cool. It's just a white with a red split down the middle. You've got the Lotto logo on the top, and then here their tagline, better than your best, www.lotto.it, and then of course similar logoing on that side, this side, and then on the bottom it's got all sorts of description of the technology, which is actually super cool. So we can walk through these once we get the boots out of the box, but for right now, let's just hop straight into the unboxing. These are in a size 9 US, an EU 42, UK 8, 270 millimeters. So they are in the light asphalt and all black colorway. I thought this was a very cool looking color, so we'll see actually what these look like in just a second. So here we go with the unboxing. Okay, so first thing that comes out of the box are these little pamphlets, and the little pamphlet basically says double fit football, availability of an extra insole under the original sock liner for a customizable fit. So it sounds like you can put another custom insole underneath the one that's already in the boot, which is kind of a cool idea. In practice, I don't actually know how good that's actually going to be, how many players would actually do that sort of thing. I would imagine that if you wanted to put some sort of carbon fiber sole plate in there, or carbon fiber insole, which you can get on certain websites. I'm forgetting the name of the company that I actually tested a couple times, but they're pretty good. I don't know if I'd ever wear them because it raises your foot off the ground a little bit more than I would prefer in a football boot. I like to be as low to the ground as possible. That way I can get under the ball when I'm doing pings or any other types of passing. For me, it's just more barefoot-like is what I prefer, but for those of you who do like that little bit of raised action either in the heel or across the entire boot, it definitely could be an option for you to use that technology, this double fit football technology that they claim. Then the next pamphlet you get is a very cool, the speed generation, and this is actually marketed as a speed boot, the Solista Gravity. It's marketed towards being able to change direction super fast. Here we go. Lotto Solista 104 Gravity. Back in 2006, we made the first laceless football shoe. We made the impossible possible. 2021 is going to be the 15th anniversary of the release of the groundbreaking shoe, a tribute to the first ever laceless football shoe. Lotto's innovation has set the new standard, which today is available with a fresh look, tailor-made for players who want to be the fastest on the pitch. With no laces or seams, the one-piece upper 3D knit wraps around the foot like a glove, allowing for greater aerodynamics, precision, and support for the ankle. The result is a feeling of absolute comfort and straight fit that succeeds in enhancing agility during performance. Okay, so do you need greater aerodynamics in playing football? I don't know, especially at your feet, not sure. But this is actually kind of cool. So this is it shows sort of the prototypes and when there's a prototype in 2005, there's their original one in 2002, and then they've got like another prototype, and then that's the one that actually came out, that's zero gravity. And then of course you've got the Lotto Solista, the one that is kind of the more modern looking one down here as well. So, and then they're little like, don't be locked up by laces or something, whatever their rhetoric was back then. Okay, then you get a really cool mesh, like half mesh, half not mesh Solista Gravity bag. And we'll get the box out of the way for a bit and get the rest of these boots out. So this is I'm not sure what this is. Oh, very cool. Okay, so you do, okay, so here we go. So that's that double fit. So if you do want a little bit higher off the ground, you've got extra 2 millimeter insoles that can go into the boot, plus a little shoehorn, which is in this nice little pouch, which is actually kind of a cool touch. I like how premium that looks. And then these are actually in a, oh, okay, here we go. All right, so there are the Lotto Solista 104 Gravity. They are very interesting in hand. They're super, super plush. The thickness of the upper is wild. So a couple things about the Lotto Solista 104 Gravity that we'll get out of the way really quick. Some of the tech specs that I don't usually care that much about, but just for your guys' information, obviously you heard me say the one-piece 3D knit that goes around the entire upper. It's like basically the entire shoe is like a one-piece 3D knit. You've got an Ergo tongue tech, which is this part right here. So everything from here, I'm just naming what the company is on the website and stuff. And what that's supposed to do is that's just supposed to give you like a really seamless sensation from your foot all the way up into your ankle area. And then the Punto Flex in the forefoot, which is this material that supposedly is to give your forefoot more stability, but also more responsiveness as well. So that's sort of a couple things in, and then they've got these like very conical studs with one little bladed or chevron stud right there in the middle. You've got the 4 on the lateral side, 3 on the medial side of the forefoot, and then of course the 4 in the heel area right there. And then it says professional use. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So right there, professional use right on the sole plate. You got the Lotto logo there. As far as how these look, these are definitely an interesting looking pair of boots. Let me get these out of this plastic stuff, and then we'll throw these right there. Get the bag out of the way. Okay, so Lotto Solista Gravity 104s. They're an interesting pair of boots. I'm gonna take this little thing out and show you guys kind of what the softness is like. They are very soft, but they feel incredibly thick. Like there's on the inside of the upper, you've got this mesh material right here, which is actually pretty thin. I'd say it's about equal, maybe even a little bit thinner than something like any of the Flyknit collared boots from Nike. I'd say it's about on par with, say, a Phantom GT DF, like the dynamic fit ones. So that's about how thick it is. It's got about the same amount of stretch and stuff. Although right here in the ankle area there and here, there's this interesting material that looks like, I don't know if you can see that, but it opens up, and maybe that's just to give extra stretch for your ankle. But to be honest, to me, it looks a little cheap, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. Sort of a weird touch there. But the upper is actually very, very simple. There's kind of no BS with it. It's, you've got these like rib lines all across the upper that basically go from the heel all the way into the toe area. And as I said before, it's a very, very thick upper. Like this feels like it's gonna be probably pretty cushiony on the ball. That's my guess. They definitely, the sole plate is pretty flexy actually. I appreciate that. There's a lot of stability in through the midfoot area right underneath. And then of course it snaps back pretty well. It's a PFX, I don't know what that means. Maybe it's like a nylon or something, who cares? Anyway, so Lotto, I don't know how many professional players actually wear these boots. I think they are sort of a company that had a lot of hype and made leather boots way back when. I know a lot of people who wore Lotto boots as like their first kids boot, but since Nike, Adidas, Puma, and even New Balance have sort of come up through the ranks and sort of blown past a lot of these older Italian brands. You guys have seen, have I tried on? No, I did Diadora, which is another one. So Diadora and Lotto used to be kind of the most popular boot companies a long time ago, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then of course, as Nike started to make the Vapor, and especially in the 2002 World Cup, when Brazil won, those boots, Nike just became skyrocketed as like one of the bigger companies. Adidas the same, Puma the same. They started making all of these different types of boots that were so much better than the classic leather ones. And of course they started introducing synthetic and all that stuff. The 2006 version of this boot, I never got a chance to try on, but it was a very plasticky, super uncomfortable, hard to get on boot. That's at least what I've heard. And this looks a lot different than that. So from a within company comparison, it definitely looks like this is a huge improvement over that first laceless boot. That being said, it feels, especially compared to something like if you were to take the laces off a Magista Obra or even a Hypervenom Phantom 3 DF. I'm trying to think of other boots. A Predator. I mean, it's hard to say the Predator freaks. You could definitely compare with these, but again, I don't think they're going to have anything on laceless, especially because this is built for and advertised as a speed boot, as something that's going to make you really fast, which no boot does, by the way, so don't think that way. If this boot is marketed towards speed boots, it's supposedly going to compare with something like an X Speedflow Plus, which just feeling the upper of this, I can guarantee you it's nothing close. And I don't think, I'm very curious to know how these fit and feel on feet, because if they're super comfy and they're a really nice padded sensation and the lockdown's pretty good for a laceless football boot, this might be a great option for some players looking for a lighter weight boot, which it is quite lightweight. A lightweight boot with conical studs, laceless, and it's got a little bit more of a plush feeling. One of the biggest questions I get on my X Speedflow Plus reviews is, oh, is it too thin? When people step on you, does it hurt? All that stuff. That's something a lot of people actually consider. For me, it's not a big deal because I know that my feet are going to get destroyed in playing football anyway, because tackles come in and things happen. But for those of you who are interested in something that's a little bit thicker, if these do fit your feet, this might actually be a great option, because the upper is very, very thick. And I'm talking like probably double, if not triple, the cushioning of something like an X Speedflow Plus. It's very much more on par with something like, it's even thicker than a Predator Freak Plus, obviously with no spikes, but that is something, I imagine this is going to be a very padded sensation on ball, which can be a really good thing. I think padded football boots definitely have their place. Obviously something like a CTR 360 Maestri Elite was kind of padded with those little foam pods. The new Tiempo Legend 9s are very similar to that. So if you are interested in something like a more padded feel, these might actually be a great option for you if you're looking for something that's a little bit less known and a little more unique. That could be super, super cool as well. So something to keep in mind as well about these is that they run about $200. So depending on where you are in the world, in the US, these are, I think, $199.99 on most websites. Sometimes you can get them for cheaper because Lotto is not as popular of a brand, so they want to get rid of those stock as well. So very curious to know what these fit and feel like on feet. Again, it's a very simple design. There's not much BS going on here. This sole plate actually looks a lot like the old Magista Obra sole plate, which I think is kind of cool. So again, you've got mostly conical studs with that one chevron bladed stud in the middle of the forefoot area, and it does a good job. I mean, again, it's pretty standard. It doesn't look like anything special, but it also doesn't look like anything that would hinder you from playing on an artificial pitch or a FG pitch as well. So as far as simplicity goes, I think these actually look super cool. They look really clean. They look really simple. I am very curious to know how they fit and feel on feet, because they do also have quite a bit of width to them. It definitely does look like they've got enough stretch and width, and there's nothing in the upper like a flywire cable from Nike or like any of the internal cages that the X Speedflow Plus and 0.1 have that would prevent your foot from stretching out, especially on the lateral side. So that's something that's both good and bad. Maybe it's really amazing for comfort, but for lockdown purposes, it really ends up being something that hinders the boot in a lot of ways. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. But let's jump straight into the on-feet portion of the video. And then of course, I'll be doing a small play test as well on these boots, and we'll see how they fit and feel on feet. All right, fam. So here we are with the Lotto Solista 100 for gravity. And we're gonna get these on feet. I've got a pair of Zypher socks on my feet without the grip. So they're the same sock, just without the grip elements, which is awesome. Great for testing new boots. And if you want 10% off, in the link in the description. So these ones are laceless, which means I'm going to use their handy little Lotto shoehorn right now, and we'll just hop straight into this. So I am curious. They do look like they might actually be a half size too big, but we're just going to try these on and see how we go. All right. So it's not super tricky getting these on, I don't think. Actually, I might even not need the shoehorn. Let's see if I can get good grip on. Oh, and there we go. All right. So there's that first one. First impressions, they're definitely a full size too long or half size too long in a regular 9 US. And, oh, Jesus. Okay, well, there you go on feet. They are pretty uncomfortable, I gotta admit. At least for my feet. I don't know how I feel about these, to be honest. So those are the Solista 100 gravity. Well, guys, this is what they look like. They absolutely are boats. They're really long. So if you can see from this B-roll footage, that's where my toe is. I want my toe to be right on the end, and that's where it is there. So I've got about almost probably 1/2 inch to 2/3 of an inch on the end, which is just not lovely. The width is very rigid, in my opinion. Like, they definitely feel like they'll stretch a little bit, but as far as width goes, they are pretty wide. I don't think they'll be wide enough for my feet though, because they are really tight right on that outside of the foot, right in the midfoot area where my feet is widest. And then they've got all these little like poofy, they look like marshmallows back here. Look at that. That's so much unnecessary padding. The sole plate's okay. The sole plate, I mean, if it actually fit my feet correctly, I think they'd probably be okay. The length, again, is not ideal. They are not super ideal on the length, but the rest of the boot actually feels not too bad. I think the lockdown in the heel is pretty decent. You don't really notice the collar as much because it isn't going up and over your ankle. It's only going about halfway, and then it's a little bit higher in the heel, which is totally fine. I don't mind that. But the comfort is definitely, I think if you have a medium foot, you'd probably fit perfectly in these. A thin foot, just be aware of sizing stuff. And then super wide-footed players, I don't know if these are the right option for you. They're just not as wide in the midfoot. They have a decent amount of width in the forefoot, so if you're only wide in the forefoot area, that could be totally fine. But that's kind of my synopsis. These aren't really that special feeling. You don't put them on and have that like wow factor that some of these other laceless boots do. You put on an X Speedflow, you put on, I wouldn't say the Predator Edge, the new version, but the older Predator Freak, you put that on feet and you're like, whoa, like these are really, really impressive. These are not that. They're definitely soft, they're definitely plush, like I have a ton of cushioning, and I feel like on the ball they're gonna be really interesting to wear, but I definitely don't think that they're anywhere near the top end of the speed boot market, nor are they the top end of the laceless market. But hey, you know, there's a boot out there for everyone. So if you are interested in them, I would definitely go down half a size at least, if not a full size, just because at least in the length, like they are boat shoes on me. Like they really are way too big in the length. In the width, they're okay. I can feel them starting to break in a little bit, but definitely wouldn't bank on having these fit super well in the width. So that's just something to consider. That's just something to keep in mind. They do have a very low toe box, so the material really comes down into an edge on the front end of that toe area. So that's something to keep in mind. But again, see how we go with on ball. I'm not really super excited about it because they're kind of hurting my feet right now, but that's my feet. I have really wide, really flat feet, especially in that midfoot area, so that's something to keep in mind when you are watching my reviews. I do have very unique feet. They're not very standard, so something to keep in mind. But as far as fit and feel, again, the materials actually do feel pretty premium. There's a couple hot spots I have on the inside of my ankles. So the inside of right here, I've got a little hot spot there. I've also got hot spots already on the outside, and then right on the tops of my toes because of how low and how like angled down this toe box is. That's not necessarily a complaint. I'm okay building blisters up and building calluses on the tops of my toes. That's fine. I don't mind like a really low toe box. But the rest of the hot spots really don't feel that good. So that's something to keep in mind if you are considering a Lotto. I know a lot of you probably are like, Lotto, why would I buy Lotto? Same. But you know, again, for another iteration of a laceless boot, I think they're okay. They're not bad. I think they are definitely better than the Predator Edge Pluses. They're way softer than those are. They've got way more padding. There's not as much, there's definitely not as much stiffness. So they're better than the Pred Edge. They're not anywhere close to the Speedflow Plus. And I think they're not as good as the Copa Sense. And a lot of people don't like the Copa Sense Pluses, but even despite that, I think they're pretty good. I like the Copa Sense Plus, and I think the Copa Sense Plus is better than these. So I'd say these are like 4 out of 5 on the laceless boot side of things. Who knows? Maybe Nike will come out with the laceless boot soon. We'll see. But yeah, let's hop into the on-ball portion out at the pitch, and you guys can experience with me firsthand what these are like with a ball and juggling and maybe doing a little bit of footwork and stuff like that so we can test the traction on an AG pitch. All right, fam, so here we are out at the pitch. This is a synthetic turf pitch, so just be aware of kind of the way that I describe how these fit and feel on feet. We are going to get these on feet, juggle around a little bit, see how they fit and feel. When I was in my living room, I was not super impressed with how these fit, so we'll see how long I can actually keep them on my feet. Usually I'm pretty picky with like, try them on, give you guys an impression of what they feel like, and then we'll go from there. So let me get these on feet really quick, and then we'll get into how they feel on an artificial ground surface. So it slides on actually pretty easily. I definitely do feel the extra length in there, which is really disappointing, to be honest. Okay, there we go. So on an artificial turf pitch, they feel okay. I mean, they're not amazing. On ball, yeah, wow, definitely way more padded than I'm used to. They feel even more padded than a Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, which is actually quite impressive in my opinion. They're kind of chunky. If I'm honest, it's a very it feels like I have a foam wrap around my foot. I don't think the shape of the football boot's very good, although that's for my feet, and I have really square, really square and wide feet, especially in the midfoot area. So, I mean, the touch is actually not bad. I like the padded feel of it, but it's really padded. So yeah, you have to really want a padded feel if you're gonna buy these. And then I would also recommend going at least a half a size down. If you're based on your US sizing, go a half a size down. Probably UK sizing as well, just because these do fit a little bit long for some reason. The lockdown in the ankle and the heel area is actually quite good. I think it is totally passable, and I'm not wearing grip socks right now, so keep that in mind. The lateral stability, yeah, it's okay. It's definitely not bad for a laceless football boot. I don't think it's as good as something like a Predator Freak Plus. The Predator Edges, again, we're not going to talk about those because they're pretty bad in my opinion, and they're way too stiff. But yeah, I mean, touch on the ball, again, you'll see some of the footage over, but it's pretty good. It's not bad for a boot that's $100 or $190. And the touch, again, yeah, not bad. I'd actually rate these pretty highly if you can get the right size, and if these fit you correctly, these might actually be a really nice option for a laceless football boot. I think Lotto's
I'd say these are, for me, my feet, these are like a 6.5 out of 10. So really not, they're like just above average. I'm sure I could break them in if they were half size smaller and really like make them work for me. But I don't think I'd ever wear this pair of football boots. If you are somebody with middle width feet or thinner feet, definitely go half a size to a whole size down with these to achieve the best possible fit. And I think you'd actually might like these. I think these would make for a good laceless boot. Again, if you're interested in that padded feel, but also a pretty lightweight boot, they do a pretty good job of that. The conical studs definitely aren't as aggressive as something like a Vapor or an X Speedflow, especially in the FG variants. So you're gonna get a lot more pivot power if you do predominantly play on artificial ground, which is something to think about when you are buying boots and you play on this stuff. It is very important to get the correct stud pattern. Some boots are better in FG on AG pitches and they work okay for AG pitches, but for the majority of people, I'd recommend trying as best you can to get AG boots if you predominantly or only play on AG pitches. So that's it for my review, guys, of the Lotto Solista 100 Mark IV Gravity. I think I got that right. Again, cool colorway. I kind of like this this like camo black dark scale colorway. I think it looks kind of cool. But again, it's kind of up to you at the end of the day what you're interested in and what you like. They do come in a couple different colorways. Make sure to go, again, I'm going to say it over and over again, quarter size to a full size down, or a half size to a full size down, if you are interested in this pair of boots. And yeah, that's it. Leave a like if you got value from this video. Comment down below whether you would buy these boots or not for the right around the $200 mark, or if you'd get them on sale. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, guys, be awesome, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.